Today, we're diving into a really powerful, honestly, kind of paradigm-shifting framework that completely challenges how we look at learning. I want you to picture something with me for a second. Every morning, as the sun comes up around the world, millions of children are walking through the doors of their schools. And sure, they're carrying backpacks filled with books and homework, but they're also carrying so much more, right? They're carrying dreams, endless questions, and hopes for their own futures. And as they walk through those doors, we really have to ask ourselves a fundamental question about what exactly they're stepping into. What truly shapes a child's future? Well, let's dig into this, because it is literally the pivotal question at the heart of our explainer today. We're looking at the groundbreaking insights from the Teacher-Parent-Student Triangle Framework, or TPS triangle for short. Now, we so often just default to thinking about standard academic metrics to measure a child's trajectory, the grades, the test scores. But the reality is that behind every successful learner is something much, much deeper. It's those relational drivers, the human connections that truly dictate whether a kid just absorbs information or if they actually thrive and grow into a capable, resilient adult. Just look at the contrast between these two totally different paradigms. On the left side here, we've got education as instruction. When most of us think of education, we picture textbooks, grades, exams, and a curriculum being delivered in total isolation. But then, look on the right. Education as connection. Meaningful education simply doesn't grow in a vacuum. It is built through relationships, through trust, open communication, and shared responsibility. And hey, the knowledge part absolutely matters, don't get me wrong. But knowledge without that human foundation of connection, it can leave a student feeling totally overwhelmed and emotionally disconnected. And that actually brings us to a concept the source material calls the global gap. So every single child grows up inside three interconnected worlds: the classroom, the home, and their community. You have teachers guiding the learning, parents nurturing their confidence and values, and the students themselves discovering who they can become. Yet in so many parts of the world, education is treated as these totally separate responsibilities. The school only focuses on academics, parents only focus on home life, and the poor student is left trying to navigate these distinct, sometimes completely conflicting worlds all by themselves. The global gap is exactly that, the absence of a clear, consistent partnership. So, how do we bridge that gap? Well, this beautifully illustrates the solution, the TPS triangle. It actively unites the teacher, the parent, and the student. And this isn't just some nice theoretical concept. It's a living, breathing system where absolutely no role stands alone. When these three forces actually work together with shared responsibility, the classroom transforms into a community where every single voice matters. Education becomes this collaborative journey, making sure that no child ever has to navigate their own development by themselves. Section 1. The three essential roles. Okay, so for the TPS triangle to actually function, we really need to understand the distinct shared responsibilities of all three partners. None of these roles can do it all on their own, but together they create this unbreakable foundation. First up, we have the teacher. In the TPS framework, the teacher is the guide. And we're looking way beyond just academics here. The best teachers don't just teach subjects, right? They shape lives. The teacher is a connector, a mentor who provides real direction and structure, but they pair all of that with deep empathy. They balance high expectations with emotional safety. Because think about it, when a student really trusts their teacher, they feel safe enough to ask questions, admit when they're struggling, and get back up after a failure. The teacher is essentially the bridge between the academic learning and the student's human development. Next, we have the parent, who takes on the role of the supporter. Long before a child ever really understands the world, they learn from the emotional climate of their own home. So parents aren't just there to, supervise homework. They are constant models of learning and behavior. They reinforce what's happening in the classroom, they build emotional stability, and vitally, this is key, they nurture independent responsibility. That means supporting the child without controlling them or micromanaging their ability to grow. It's really about providing a safe harbor while still empowering the kid to sail their own ship out in the world. And right at the center of this whole thing is the student, the active learner. Now, a really crucial point here is that in the TPS triangle, the student is absolutely not a passive receiver of knowledge. They have to be an active participant. Teachers can guide, parents can support, but ultimately the student has to step up and engage with curiosity. They're the ones who develop self-discipline, resilience, and really embrace their own voice. Honestly, this shift from passive dependence to active participation is one of the most important stages of a person's educational growth. Section 2. The connective tissue. 3 pillars. So how do these three roles actually stay united, especially when things inevitably get a little tough? Well, a triangle is only as strong as the bonds between its points. The TPS triangle rests on three foundational pillars. Number one is trust. Trust creates that emotional safety, which allows everyone to work together with openness instead of fear. Number two is respect. This one is all about protecting dignity, especially during a disagreement or maybe when a student makes a mistake. It keeps the relationships healthy even when things are challenging. And number three is communication. This is the force that keeps the entire triangle connected, bridging any of those little misunderstandings long before they can turn into permanent distance. And if we look a bit closer at communication, we see it has to be a highly intentional practice. It requires clarity, meaning messages should be simple and focused. It requires empathy, seeking to actually understand before just responding. It absolutely demands respect, protecting everyone's dignity in the process. And finally, it needs consistency, which is how you build long-term trust through reliable follow-through. When teachers, parents, and students actively communicate using these four strategies, tension naturally turns into trust, and education becomes a true working partnership. Section 3, a global standard for collaboration. All right, so now that we've looked at the micro level, those day-to-day interactions between teacher, parent, and student, let's zoom out a bit. Let's look at the global triangle framework to see how this philosophy scales up. Because the TPS triangle isn't just meant for a single classroom. It's designed to be a worldwide, human-centric standard for education. Level 1 is the classroom, where that daily collaboration happens. Level 2 is the school, where the leadership actively creates a culture of partnership. Level 3 is the family, reinforcing learning way beyond the school walls. Level 4 is the community, providing this wider network of support. And finally, Level 5 is the global and national policy level, where shared educational standards are actually aligned. It really shows how collaboration is this daily practice that can ripple outward to literally transform entire nations. But why does all of this actually matter? Well, because a true global standard has to measure human success, not just academic achievement. Look at these indicators. If we only ever look at test scores, we completely miss the invisible human realities. By measuring things like parent engagement, student voice, the teacher-parent trust index, and overall emotional well-being, schools learn to value intellectual growth and emotional stability equally. At the end of the day, numbers should serve people, not the other way around. You know what's really fascinating here? The TPS triangle isn't just some trendy modern educational reform. It is a timeless human pattern. If we look back at historical, philosophical, or spiritual traditions from all across the globe, societies have always recognized that children do not grow in isolation. They grow through relationships. Across so many diverse cultures, character, wisdom, and moral awareness are seen as being just as vital as book knowledge. The TPS triangle is simply restoring this universal truth to our modern learning systems. As the source material brilliantly notes, the future of education will not be shaped by technology alone. It will not be shaped by policy alone. It will be shaped by people working together. And honestly, that hits the nail on the head. No matter how incredibly advanced our technology gets, sustainable, meaningful change in education relies entirely on human connection. One child, one family, one school, one community, one world. If you want to dive deeper into this framework and read some amazing real-life stories, you can visit tpstriangle.com. Grab the book and follow their journey. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. If a child's future is truly shaped by the people working together around them, what role are you playing in their triangle today? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I'll see you next time.